Thank you, everybody, for coming. I am so excited that you're here. My name is Christine Souza, and welcome to this very special evening, Death Over Tea. I have an amazing, incredible guest with us this evening, and I can't wait for her to uh, to get started. I did want to share a little bit about Gabby. She is an incredible end of life doula and hospice nurse that I have been following for a while. And I think I found you, Gabby, by actually my hospice nurse manager. She recommended a book, one of your books, and said, you have to read this because I was a brand new hospice nurse and I fell in love with it and had been following you on social media. And I just feel so incredibly blessed that I just get to like hang out with you on a Friday night. And I just wanted to share that Gabby has a an incredible offering on her website. Her social media is, or her website is thehospiceheart.net. And you can find her on social media, but you can find all of her classes and offerings, which are incredible. I think, Gabby, I've taken almost every one of your classes, and have read all of your books. I feel like I kind of geek out on all that stuff, but you have taught me so much, and you have helped me to be a better hospice nurse and a better end of life doula and just a better person in general. So I just want to thank you from the very beginning. But I wanted to read a little bit about Gabby. Um, Gabrielle Jimenez, or Gabby, is a hospice nurse, end of life doula, death and dying educator, author, and blogger. Her goal is to help improve the way people are cared for when they are dying and when they are grieving. Gabby started her Facebook community, the Hospice Heart, in August of 2019, which has grown now to almost 148,000 followers. Her intention was to create a safe space for people to talk about death and dying and grief while that has happened, it has also offered her a platform to share her end of life tips and tools that help comfort and support those navigating a terminal illness, their caregivers, end of life workers, and grievers. This is sacred, beautiful work and should always be met with kindness and compassion. So I just want to thank you guys all for being here, and thank you so much, Gabby, for being here. I'm just going to hand it over to you. I'm just thrilled that you're here. Everybody, thank you for coming.
Hello, everyone, and welcome. I am so honored to be here with all of you today. And of course, I would do just about anything for Christine. So when she suggested we find something to offer in the grief realm, I was all over it. So I have to be some completely transparent. I will cry. I cry anyway, but I'm feeling myself a little griefy these actually for quite some time now. But as the anniversary gets closer to my brother's death, I can't help but relive all that same path I took 3 years ago, which I'll talk more about later. But um, doing this kind of event, for lack of a better word, is an opportunity to bring community together, to remind you that you are seen and heard and not alone. And I don't just mean in general. I just mean or on your grief journey, but for the work that you're doing, whether it's for yourself or others, it's being seen and appreciated. And we don't do this alone. One of the very first lessons I learned, and it took me a while, admittedly, is that we are not a solo act. We are a community. And if we can't work with that mindset, then we have to really think about where we're coming from. Because if we think that we are all that and that we can do this on our own, then ego enters the room before we do. And we need to make sure that our patients and our families and our clients don't ever feel that way. So the reminder that we are not a solo act and that we are a community is very important. And tonight, my intention is to provide you with a grief offering for yourself. I want you to take this for yourself. And if you do work in the end of life field in whatever way, then maybe you can take what you learned and help another person. And that right there is building community. So that is really my intention. I am a hospice nurse and I'm an end of life doula. I did not start doing any of this until later in my life. And it happened because I was sort of in between. stages in a job. I was managing commercial real estate and then started doing safety when 9/11 hit, creating evacuation plans for our commercial projects. And once you bring a building up to the level that they are supposed to relative to safety, you leave that and then you go to the next one. In between that, one of my friends was dying, and his wife asked if I would be willing to help take care of him so she could work, which I did. And I slept in the twin bed next to his twin bed. I helped bathe him. I helped feed him. I helped comfort him. And I watched this strong, vibrant man decline right in front of me. And I watched what it feels like to lose dignity and independence. And it broke my heart. And I had to say goodbye to someone that meant something to me, but it was a very different experience because even though many people prior to that had died, I never knew what it actually meant to be present. And that's not something you can just be taught. That's not something you can read about and learn. Learning about being present is all about understanding what that means. And once you do, the role of this work, however you do it, is clearer. It makes more sense. And so once I realized that, I decided that I needed to do this work. So at 45, I went to nursing school to be a hospice nurse specifically. And that was not easy because I was the oldest one in the class with 20 somethings who have absolutely no manners, and are all most of them were all being paid for by their moms. And out of the 20 something people in the class, there were about five who didn't even go on to be a nurse. I wanted it so bad. And they don't teach death and dying in nursing school. So yes, I became a nurse, but I didn't have the skills to be a hospice nurse. I had to learn that. You can't take a class and pass a test and suddenly think you are ready to care for someone who is dying. So it took time, and it's worth the time because you learn and you grow and you evolve, and that's what this is all about. And I did this work for 8 years, I think, without, I mean, I learned and I grew and I understood it all and I supported grievers, and then my brother died. And all of a sudden, grief was defined very differently to me, even though many people had died. But up to this point, I didn't sit at the bed and hold the hand of my parents or my son's father or my friends. I sat sort of back because I didn't know what to do. No one told me what to do. I didn't know that they could hear me and that if I said things, maybe I could resolve my own issues. I didn't know that maybe if I said certain things, maybe their death would be a little less rough for them too. I didn't know the difference I could make in the lives of others. I just sort of did this work the best that I could. And to be tell you the truth, I have been with 2,500 people who are at the end of their life. That is a lot of death to witness. It is a lot of grief to witness. And the one thing that I can absolutely guarantee, and most of you here today can appreciate this, is that death looks different for every person, and grief looks different for every person. On January 10th, I got a call from my sister that my brother was rushed to the hospital in Montana. I'm in California, so you can see the distance there. And she didn't think he was going to be okay. Like she thought he was going to die. And I said, I'll go there. And so I did. I flew there and I stayed at his bedside every day until he died. And even though I came there with a suitcase packed full of experience, I had absolutely no idea what to do because I had all of the little scenarios that we witness, right? I had the disconnect with my brother. We hadn't talked in many years. I had the uncertainty of our families. We didn't have much family left, and I my sister was going to come, but we weren't close, and there was just all this dynamic, and I was trying to work through my own stuff. And I also come from the nursing platform where I'm watching them come in and out as though this is just a plastic doll lying in a bed and not a human being. And I kept putting my nurse hat off and taking it off, putting it on and taking it off, putting it on and taking it off, because I wanted him to get the care he deserved. And I also found myself sitting at his bedside trying to make up for all the times I didn't sit at my own family's bedsides, suddenly realizing that I had never done what I needed to do. And I talk about pancake grief. And I think once I explain this, I think you guys are going to get this. I've had a lot of death in my life. I have lost both parents. I've lost two siblings now. I lost a baby. I lost a husband. I lost multiple friends. And of course, all the people I've cared for who are dying, right? I mean, those are all deaths. It is our loss too, albeit differently. It is our loss too. So when I sat there every day, I was just like trying to deal with it all. And and when he died, all the other griefs came tumbling down. I look at it like this. When we're children, we have our first death, usually a pet, perhaps a grandparent, sadly, sometimes a parent or a sibling or a friend. And that starts the stack, right? And as we age, the stack builds and the pancakes build. And then one day a death happens, and that pancake is placed at the top, and all of the pancakes tumble down with syrup and butter and messiness all over your table, dripping off the edges onto your lap, and you realize that you have not dealt with your grief. That's what happened when my brother died. Now, January 10th is coming up. And what people don't realize is that grief is not just the date of death. It's all the days that led up to it, from the day we got the news that things are about to change. In those how many days that you have, you also relive that. So on January 10th, I am going to relive everything again. And on the first year anniversary, I I thought I was going to be better. I thought things were going to miraculously like suddenly resolve and I wasn't going to have this pain anymore, even though I know what I know. And then the day after the year anniversary happened, right? I woke up and I thought, I don't feel different. My grief did not magically go away. And what I realized, I used a track analogy because I used to run track in high school and college. And I used the analogy that each anniversary is a mile marker around a track that we are going to go around the rest of our lives. It doesn't get better with time. They're not in a better place. We're not going to feel better or get over it. And although those things are coming from a good place and people are trying to be comforting, what they don't realize is that their way of looking at grief is going to be different than us. We can't compare our grief to other people. We can't tell someone else how to grieve. And that's where the problem lies because we have people who mean well but don't realize that sometimes what they say makes it harder. And when we have to hear these things, we tend to not let them know how we're feeling. We tend to not reach out. We tend to tell people we're fine. We don't need anything. No, I've got this. I'm okay. It gets better with time. When most of you know that's not the truth. I am dreading January 10th, almost more than January 26th, which is the day he died. It's 3 years now. My sister died 10 years ago. I miss her more now than I ever did before. I lost my mom 33 years ago. I lost my dad about 28 years ago. What happens with time is we become more aware of the absence of them in our lives, what they missed, what we didn't get to share with them, the amends we could have made. I wasn't close with my parents. They were not good parents. I didn't have a great childhood. So when they died, I didn't feel sadness. I wish I did. I mean, I wish I feel what I witness others feel when their mom or dad dies. I wish I could have felt that. But what's interesting is I feel it now. My son has been doing a like I don't know what it's called, but checking all of our history, right? Family tree kind of building. And he has pulled up stuff about my mom and dad that I didn't even know. He's been sending me this stuff for months. And it's really amazing, right? Because I'm like getting to know my parents. For Christmas, he gave me a framed picture of my mother's wedding day. Whew, of course I cried, right? So grief doesn't get better with time. It's harder with time. We understand it more. We are a little more prepared for the reactions we have when we see a movie or hear a song or smell something like a perfume or a cigar or a candle or sawdust in my dad's case. We're going to remember for the rest of our lives. Because I always tell people, don't put a D at the end of love. We didn't loved them. We love them and we always will. Why are we supposed to put our love in past tense? I don't understand that. If we had the honor of their presence in our life for 20 years, then we are going to love them and miss them for at least 20 years. So give us a break. Let us grieve. Let us talk about our grief. Give us a safe place to say, I'm missing him today. Understand that anticipatory grief is a real thing. And when we get that first notice that they're sick or something tragic happened, or in my brother's case, which I think is tragic, he got sick very quickly and went into the hospital. No one was prepared for that. That is when grief starts. So if our anticipatory grief during the process of whatever illness or time frame they might have, our anticipatory grief is that entire time frame. And then grief starts the day that they die. So our grief journey is even longer than from the date of death. It goes back. So we have to honor that. What does time do? Time allows us to kind of reflect and remember. One of my favorite quotes is, my memories say hello. They ask about you all the time. And I love that because that's my safe place. I get to visit my memories anytime I want to. And this works for whether you've had 2 months with a person or 2 years or 30 years or 70 years. I mean, if you've had 70 years, that's a lot of memories. You're really lucky. But those memories, that's the safe place we get to visit. No one gets to interfere with that. We can go there anytime we want. So as a griever, I had to figure out things that would work for me because I wanted to honor my grief. I wanted to sit with it. I wanted to be with it. And I didn't need to heal from it because I don't think we do. But what I wanted to do was kind of become its friend in a way, to walk alongside it, not in front of it, not in back of it, not tell it how it had to be, but to truly honor it. And so for me, because of the work I do as a nurse and a doula, I've incorporated rituals in everything I do. I have death rituals, I have last breath rituals, and I even have some grief rituals, which I have shown to the family members, not realizing that I can use them for myself. They work for release, sometimes for peace, sometimes for a moment to pause and be with your feelings. I love rituals and I love coming up with new ones. Now, today I'm going to do 2 candle lighting rituals for you. One is to release something that you've held on to. Usually people choose things like regret and anger and guilt. It's an opportunity to extend some forgiveness if you need to. The other ritual is going to be special for the people that you are honoring today. What I want to invite you to do today is to really take in all of this for yourself. You might have come here today to learn something to help others, and I think you will. I think you'll leave today with more tools, but try to make this about you today. Take this time to honor you. Now, when my brother was dying, I sat at his bedside every day. And every day I told him I was sorry about our disconnect. And I'm going to be straight up with you guys. It was his fault. He started the fight. It was his doing, all on him. but I wasted time by allowing it to continue. I held on to it. I'm just as guilty. So every day I offered forgiveness. I accepted his unsaid forgiveness and I said, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry every day. And I told him that when he got out of here, when he got better, we were going to let that go and we were going to do better. I believed that with every ounce of my being. And one day he woke up. It was the day before he died. And he woke up and they took him off the ventilator. They took him off the oxygen. And I said, Ben, I was here every day. I was here. I was right by your bedside. And he looked up at me and he said, I'm sorry too. So I got to take that with me. He got to take that with him. And this is where how we help others is really important, reminding them that they hear us. And if you have something to say it all. Say all the things. And it doesn't have to be beautiful and perfect and pretty. It can be, I'm angry at you, but I forgive you. You hurt me, but I'm letting that go. What if we gave them permission to let it go as well? When people are dying, the thing that I hear most is their regret. No one ever says how thankful they are that they worked so hard, right? No one. I guarantee you, out of the 2,500 deaths I've been present, not all deaths, but just caring for people who were dying, no one ever said that. But what they regretted was time wasted, things unsaid, not appreciating the people in their life, not letting things go. So, for the ones that have already died, the ones that we can't try to do things differently for, this is a time for us to be able to find a way to release that. If not for them, for yourself. Carrying that weight doesn't do you any good. It doesn't absolve you of anything that was said or done or not said or done. It just weighs heavy and it gets in your way from moving through this life with a little more grace and ease. You have to forgive yourself or forgive them. And you need to know that forgiveness does not mean condoning something that was said or done. It simply means saying, look, I don't want to carry this anymore. This is not my weight to carry. I'm letting it go because I don't want to spend the rest of my life carrying that weight with me. So these rituals have helped me to release stuff because I don't want to spend the rest of my life feeling regretful. I will take what I have learned and do better. I will stand up for myself. I will not let people take advantage of me or hurt me. I will be honest as much as I possibly can, and I will forgive myself when I don't do it as well as I should have or could have. Because I'm just going to keep moving forward in my life with gratitude because I am gifted more time. And that to me is everything. Time, boy, it takes on a whole new meaning when you're told you have less of it left. We suddenly realize the fragility of time. Time is such a gift. And it's meant to be savored and appreciated and just drunk like champagne on New Year's Eve. I mean, just so good and you just love it so much. And I don't drink champagne, so I don't even know why I use that analogy, but I think you get what I mean. I think we have to savor life with childlike enthusiasm. And where did we learn that from? From the people who died too soon, the people who didn't get more time, the people we said goodbye to. If anything, we need to live our lives more fully in their honor because they deserve that. Things that I want you to remember, and most of you probably already know, is that grief does not end. Like I said earlier, each anniversary is a mile marker on the track we'll be going around for the rest of our lives. We each grieve differently. There's no wrong way to grieve unless you are causing harm to yourself or others. Grief begins prior to the anniversary, the date you first heard the news, the dates you were present for them, the last things that were said, the days the dying process started, the date of death. We will go through this every year. It's important that we remember to say their name, to tell their story. Because if we don't, then eventually the story stops being told. A couple months ago, I was telling my granddaughter something about my mom, and she looked up at me and she said, "You have a mom?" I stopped telling her story. So now, even Christmas Day, I shared with them a little story about my mom and my dad and my sister and my brother, all of which they never met. So, well, they did meet my brother, forgive me. But I think if we don't tell their story, no one else will. And our kids and their kids and so on will slowly lose track of who was in our past. We are who we are because of them, the good, the bad, the indifferent. And a little bit of them is with us, which means a little bit of them will be with the people that are in our lives as well. I'm going to read a poem I wrote. It's called You Can't Fix My Grief. You can't fix my grief. You can't make it go away. I understand you want to, but for now it is here to stay. I appreciate your thoughtfulness and all the kindness that you've shared. It matters more than you can possibly know, the many ways you've shown you care. The best thing you can do for me is show up day after day. It might take months or even years for my sorrow to fade away. You don't need to fix me. Know that your presence is enough. Some days I might not respond to you. It's just because some days are really tough. I hope you'll stick around when others have walked away. The best thing you can do for me is promise that you will stay. They can't help us if we don't tell them we need the help. So as grievers, we need to accept the extended hand. And if a hand's not being extended, maybe let those who are around us know that we need a little care, especially around the anniversary. So what I want you to do is get your candles ready, and I'm going to tell you a few things that, as far as my rituals are concerned, what is most important to me. One is that we use the same candle every time we do a ritual. Now I'm starting with a new candle today, but I've used the candle before all the way down till it melted and was done. Of course, I do a ritual to say thank you to the candle because it was there for all the things that I needed. And I like to think that every time I relight the candle for a new ritual, it sort of brings back the other ones and gives them another chance to kind of rise to the surface. So I have the same candle. It's always on a flat and safe surface. You have a lighter. I encourage you, if you haven't already, to open a window, even just a crack, or the door to the room you're in, because this allows you to release whatever you need to let go of. And I just want you to sit for a moment and just breathe and close your eyes. Don't light your candle yet. And just breathe. Place your hand on your heart and feel your breath as it begins to slow down. The deeper the breath, the higher the shoulders rise. So you need to release a long exhale in order to bring them all the way down. It is important to clear out the old to create space for what you are calling in, which is peace and calm within. To truly embrace what you are experiencing now, whether it be grief or stress, sadness, emotional pain, anger, or guilt, you must find a way to let go of whatever you've been holding on to that interferes with your healing through this process. What do you want to release? What have you been holding on to? It's important to be able to free space to allow your current feelings to find a safe place to go so that you can take the time to honor them and be with them and care for them as well as yourself. It's at this time where I ask that you think about something you are struggling with, something you have no control over and would find relief if you could just learn to let it go. This could be thoughts, it could be feelings like sadness or fear or pain. Could be the heaviness of this loss. Could be just the feeling of the grief. It could be a sense of worry or stress. It could be the energy that others are bringing to you that don't serve purpose. It could be your own emotional reaction to everything else that's going on around you because you are grieving. In order to move forward with a little more ease and grace, you have to be able to let some of this go, to lighten that load, to free yourself of the weight that causes so much discomfort. You can grieve with lightness. You can have a softer grieving process if you learn to let go of the things that weigh it down. Know that the fire of the candle that we will be lighting will help to transform any of these aspects you wish to release. It is like an act of grace. Allow the magic of the elements to do their work and have faith in this process. The simple act of your will and intention is enough to support healing and transformation in your life. Now, I want you to think about hope and possibility. Think about them as being yours. They are obtainable. You can have them in your life. And as we sit here together today, I want you to allow the collaborative energy to flow with ease around and through you. Take in a good deep breath, holding it for a moment, and release it all the way out of your body, down through the soles of your feet. Now open your eyes and light your candle. If you don't have a candle, consider mine being lit for you. Put it back down and close your eyes. And just breathe. If you want to place your hand on your heart, do that again just to feel connected with your heart space. I want you to set an intention for release, for healing, for forgiveness if you need to, and for peace within. Take this moment to just truly picture, feel, think about what it is you want to release today. If you are able to give it a word like fear or sadness or anger or guilt or regret or pain, give it a name. Just sit with that for a minute and just breathe. It's important that you know that you are not alone. And while we are all doing this differently, we're here together today. We are creating community of like-minded, kind, and compassionate people. You're not doing this alone. Even on the days it feels like you are not alone. We're here to take your hand, to lift you up, to support you. I can't promise that you're suddenly going to be magically okay, but maybe, just maybe, you'll feel a little lighter. When you're ready, open your eyes and look at your candle. I'm going to ask you to think about what you're releasing. And not yet, but when I do, I'm going to invite you to blow the candle out. One of the most important parts of these rituals for me is when I blow out the candle, that I follow the smoke until it's gone. That tells me that what I sent out there has been received, that it has been accepted, that I have been heard. So think about what you're trying to release today. And when you're ready, I want you to say out loud, I bless you and I release you. Blow out the candle and watch the smoke until it's gone. I bless you and I release you. Just breathe. Tina, you have a lot of smoke. That looks like a very big message. I hope that you feel a sense of relief. I hope that you saw this as something that you can add to your daily routine or weekly routine or monthly routine or every anniversary or whatever works best for you. I do rituals all the time. The candle lighting ritual allows me to physically or visually see what it is I want to release and hand it over so I don't have to carry it anymore. I don't know if you are familiar with the Buddhist practice, but there is one in particular that I really love, which is the Tonglen practice. And it's this sort of a ceremony type, and you should look it up because it's beautiful. And the short version is that you visualize carrying something that you want to release, and you visualize yourself crossing a bridge carrying it. And when you get to the center of the bridge, you empty it out into the water and watch the water take it away. And then you walk to the edge of the other side of the bridge and you've made it to the other side and you have this sense of relief and freedom and this gentleness about you that you didn't have before. Obviously, it's a longer process than that. It takes time and it takes visualization and it is so healing for me. And so I've kind of implemented that into my candle lighting where I feel what I want to let go of and I see myself pouring it out, letting it go, taking it out of my hands so I don't have to hold it anymore. The more I do that, the lighter I become. I have taught you've heard me talk before about I talk about the coat of many pockets. I imagine this coat that I've worn my whole life and each pocket and it's covered in pockets, right? Like hundreds of pockets probably. And each pocket is filled with mud. And the mud represents all of the things I've carried in my whole life, the disappointment from family members, the things I didn't receive as a child that I needed, the ways people have let me down, the things that I've done to let others down. I mean, my pockets have been overflowing with mud. And what I learned was that I started walking around with this mud, splashing it everywhere I went, making messes everywhere. Now, I'm smart. I should have known that if I just took the jacket off, it wouldn't be so messy. It wouldn't be so heavy. But I'd gotten so accustomed to walking around with the jacket on, I didn't know how to take it off. Well, what it starts with is slowly emptying the pockets and releasing, offering yourself the forgiveness you deserve, offering others forgiveness simply by saying, I'm not carrying the weight anymore. We have to be able to learn to let go of the things that are making our path messy. It doesn't have to be that way. But the only one that can change it is us. We could blame 150 other people for the way we're feeling, but that's not productive. We have to take ownership of what we're going through, how we feel, the things that we might do or say, and give ourselves permission and a little grace to mess up once in a while. We're human beings going through difficult times. I'm going to read you another poem. Dear Grief, I was thinking about you today and how you make me feel, wishing you were just a dream, wishing you weren't real. But the truth is that you are here to stay. You are never going to leave. There's something I am learning to accept, something I know and something I believe. I'm doing the very best that I can, taking each day one at a time, honoring what I need for me, accepting that some days I am just not fine. There is something I've been meaning to say, something important I want you to hear. I will allow you to walk alongside me. I will allow you to stay near. But you will not block my path. You will not get in my way. You will honor and respect me. You will listen to what I say. You will comfort me when I am down. You will hold me good and tight. You will allow me to have good and bad days. And you will love me with all your might. The truth has become quite clear to me. Grief, you are here to stay. It's okay. You're welcome here. But this has to be done my way. That is what I learned from my grief from my brother. I learned that I can I have to do this my way and that no one gets to tell me how. But I have to be kind to myself, gentle with myself, and patient with myself. I can't compare myself to others. I can't say, well, why are they doing so much better than I am? It doesn't work that way. But we have to also set some sort of plan in place. Okay, today I'm putting grief up on the shelf. I'm going to go through my day and I'm going to do something every day that brings me joy. We've convinced ourselves that when we're grieving, we're not allowed to smile or laugh or feel joy. We're supposed to sit in dark sadness every day. I guarantee you there isn't any book out there that says, here's how to be with grief. Sit in darkness forever. It doesn't say that. I mean, if it does, I don't even want that book, right? Whoever wrote that book has to really get some work done there because that's not okay. Joy is a beautiful thing, even if it's just stepping out on your doorstep and appreciating the clouds and the different shapes they grace you with every day, because it's always different. One of the other rituals that I do all the time, if you've taken my classes, you know this. I know, Christine, you know this, is the mandala ritual. I do it for grievers. I do it for my grandchildren when they're fighting with each other. I do it for myself when I need to pause for a minute. I do it all the time. I take a walk anywhere. The forest, the ocean, the meadows, down the neighborhood streets. There's a couple rules though. You don't pick anything that's alive. You don't steal from the neighbors. And if you find, say, 3 feathers on the ground, you only take one. Mother Nature's gifting you one. And you collect things on your walk: rocks, sticks, moss, leaves, flowers, feathers, glass, shells, whatever. I always say collect 27 things. I like to leave my mandala out in the forest or at the ocean, or I'll do it in my front yard. And when my granddaughters do it, I have them put it on my walkway so everybody can see it because it's kind of neat to walk by and see. And what you do is you take your first piece and you put it in the center, and that's your thought object. It could be a person you're honoring, you're grieving. It could be something you're trying to let go of. It could be something that's weighing heavy. It could be something that you need the universe to address. If you're having money issues, you can put that in there. If you're having relationship issues, you can put that in there. Whatever you need to focus on. For today, we'll talk about grief. Usually for me, is I encourage people to put that as the person. And if you have grievers that are going to do this together, I invite them to turn off all cell phones, all watches, all of that, and just be with it and actually talk about their person while they're searching for these items. It allows for a conversation. And then you sit down with them all and you very carefully make a mandala. And it could be circular, one circle after another. Some people like to make designs. That's okay. There's no wrong or right way. It's really about just sitting with self and honoring and being present for what you're feeling. And then step away and just look at it. What I like to do is put it out on a public place and then sit back and see if people walk by and what they do. My granddaughters and I, last year for Christmas, we went to Pismo Beach in California, and I took them down on the water. Now their favorite thing is, Nana, Nana, let's make a mandala. So we do. So we went out on the beach and we collected the items and we made the mandala. And then I encouraged them to step aside and go. We sat on this big giant piece of driftwood and we watched as people walked by. Some people walked by, looked, and kept going. Some walked by, stopped, and stared. Some went and collected things and brought it back to add to the mandala. Some took pictures. But what I shared with the girls is that everyone sees this how they need to. We're gifting them a visual to create thought and feelings. For us, it's a release of feelings, but for someone else, it might be inspiration. Maybe they don't know that when they walk away and make their own mandala, what's going to happen when they do, but I guarantee you the most 99% of the time, there is going to be some sense of peace that they will have from that. And there will be some sense of peace for you to have from that and the people that you guide and support. The mandala is my favorite. I don't know if you are familiar with my book, which I co-wrote with two other doulas. It's the Doula Toolkit. In there, we put our rituals, which I have not wanted to give away. I have been such a hoarder of my rituals for so long, but we put them in there. In my book, Healing a Grieving Heart, in the back, I put the candle lighting ritual because I realize now that holding on to them is not doing any good, just like all the other things we try to let go of. Why am I holding on to my rituals? Why can't I share them? Is it going to take away from what I get from them? Absolutely not. Is it going to bring someone else peace? I hope so. So, both in the doula toolkit and Healing a Grieving Heart, I share my rituals because I want someone to see them and take them, but make them their own. And if you use the rituals and you use it the way that I presented it, then I really just ask that you give me credit for it because, I kind of deserve that. But I definitely want to see what you can do with them. Now, we're going to do another ritual. And this one is special. It's special because we're going to be honoring the people that you have said goodbye to, but not just the people, the animals. The death of our pet is equally as painful. It's different, of course, but sometimes even stronger. We might miss our pets more than some of the people, but it also doesn't go away. Jack died 10 years ago, and I still see his picture and cry. We are connected to the love that we feel, and that's why we grieve. But remember, we don't put a D at the end of love. I don't want to hear someone say, I loved him so much. It's okay to say, I love him, I love her so much, and I'm going to miss them forever. But I'm also going to honor them forever. I will always say their name. I will save them a seat at the table for every holiday and every birthday. I will never stop telling their story. So, what I'm going to invite you to do now is to light your candle ahead of time and place it down on the table. Have a sip of your water or juice or your mimosa. I'm not judging. And just be with the quiet. And just sit here right now and just breathe. Your candle is lit and you are sitting peacefully in this quiet. And just breathe. Today we're taking a moment to honor and remember the people that we have each said goodbye to. And you can add animals to that as well. Whether it has been a few days, months, or years, our grief is real and it will rest inside of us forever. Today we honor them and we find a way to embrace our grief, to welcome it, and to remember that it is with us because of our love. Place your hand on your heart. Just feel your breath. The person or people that you are honoring today and will always be in your heart. Every memory, every moment, Every conversation you shared with about them will be stored right there in your heart, a place you can visit anytime you need to. Now, right now, I invite you to go back to a memory that you have of them. If you can picture their face, their smile, their eyes, and their body, and see them, and be with them for a moment if you can. And if at all possible, stay with this moment until you find yourself smiling at the memory. You might cry. That's okay too. This moment is for you and for them, and it will bring up feelings that might be difficult, sad, or bittersweet. All of your memories are stored in your heart. They will be there forever. It is a safe place to keep them and visit them often whenever you want to. This is your place, and no one can take that from you. Please take in another good deep breath, holding it for a moment, and exhale completely and slowly all the way out through your body to the soles of your feet. When someone you love becomes a memory, the memory becomes a treasure. Today, we are each honoring someone that we have said goodbye to. I'm going to invite you to take a moment and open your eyes and go to the chat and type in the names of the people that you have said goodbye to. Or the animals. And once you are done, close your eyes, place your hand on your heart, and just breathe. Close your eyes and just be with us all together today as I honor the names that you have added. David, Dylan, Ben, Laura, Tom, John, Mom, Dad, Terrell, Jack, Dad, Papa, Carter, Betty, Darla, Jay, Madeline, Bo, Shadow, Peggy, Margaret, Walter, Wes, Dee, Carrie, Dawn, Jan, Buddy, Mama, Nathan, Annie, Rosie, Nino, Santana, Denora, Tessie, Julie, Percy, Carlos, Perky, Elvin, Marie, George, Demetrius, Albertine, Horace, Hazel, Buddha Blue, Kathy, Johnny, Grandma, Lynn, Elizabeth, George, Byron, Bill, Linda, Louise, Billy Boy, Mom and Pops, Naima, my mom, my dogs, Ruby Slippers, Gizzard of Oz, Glennie, Wizard of Oz, Ozzy, Cassandra, Latana, Kristen, Glenn, Amy, Wayne, Faye, Elaine, Missy, Henry, Mary Lou, Ray, Art, and Zuzu. There are a lot of people and animals that we are grieving today collectively. That was a lot of names. That is a lot of love. And today we are honoring them in the beautiful way that they deserve. I'm going to add one more. I thought I saw another name pop up. Meryl. This is to remind us not to forget and to keep one another in our hearts, knowing that grief is everywhere and always. And we're not alone, but we do it differently, and that's okay. So just close your eyes for a moment if you snuck out and opened them, and just be with your grief and with each other. Send a little extra love out to everyone in this group and to those that couldn't make it today, but you know that they need a little extra too. And remember that we don't know what someone else is going through. And even if they say they're fine, they probably aren't. Let's just make and hold space for them in the beautiful way that they deserve. Go ahead and open your eyes and hold your candle out. And when we blow this one out, follow the smoke like you did before. But this one is just going to slowly wrap around all of each other here today, all the people we know and love, and especially those we've said goodbye and honored today. Today we said their name. We're never going to stop saying their name. Go ahead and blow your candle out. Thank you for letting me present this for you today. I hope it brought you some comfort. I hope that you have something to take with you that maybe helps somebody else. We do have another 10 or 15 minutes if you'd like to share your reaction to this, or you have something you'd like to share with me or say about what you just experienced, or if you just want to share something with everyone else here. This is a great opportunity for that. And I'll let you, Christine, lead that.
Thank you, Gabby, so much. That was just beautiful. That was so beautiful. And thank you, everybody, for joining us. I think if someone would like to, um, Phil says thank you. Phil says thank you so much. Gabby, you have such a beautiful and calming voice. Thank you. That's from Victoria. And Phil says thank you for the beautiful discussion and love. If somebody would like to share, maybe raise your hand, or if you can just pop on, I might have to unmute you from my end. If anyone would like to share anything. And let's see.
Bonnie, you're
Mm,
muted.
I'm going to ask you to unmute here. There you go, Bonnie. There
Okay,
you go.
that's better. I just want to say thank you, Gabby. Thank you, Christine, as well. But Gabby, I've been following you on Facebook after the death of my husband. And I wasn't prepared, and I love how you said you can't blame it on certain things, that cloudies this process, and I got so much from tonight, and I just want to say thank you.
Thank you for sharing that. That means a lot. And you're not alone, even on the days it feels like it.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Bonnie. Everybody's sending you so much love. Lindsay says, thank you. Well done, Gabby. Thank you for sharing your gifts with us. Appreciate your loving ways. It really helps. By Elizabeth. And Candace says, beautiful and needed for me today. Thank you so much. Gina says, thank you so much. She's currently in the hospital, so she's trying to stay quiet. I hope you're doing okay, Gina. Thank you for joining us. And Jessica says, as a social worker, I'm so appreciative of this experience. Thank you. And everyone's sending you so much love, Bonnie. Please feel free to hop on, and if there's anything else you'd like to share, I I'm just deeply moved by this experience. I know I have ritual and ceremony are so important to me, and but I love. There's something magical about lighting the candle and watching the smoke. That's just a very powerful uh, ritual. Something about lighting the candle and releasing is very powerful. We have a few more minutes if anyone else would like to hop on, anything to share. I love the list of names. Go ahead, Chris. Thank you.
First of all, thank you, Christine, for your death over tea. I truly appreciate it. And Gabby, I'm so happy to meet you and participate in this. I was fangirling a little bit. I too have been following you. And you've really shaped how I see things in the work. I mean, but I had a really griefy type of December. All the anniversaries came up for me. And I thought I would be a hot mess during this, but it was the exact opposite. It just I think it wasn't as griefy as I thought I would feel. It just felt light and um complete is a good word.
Maybe a
I
sense of peace.
yeah, yeah. I've been crying and having my grief month basically, and this was exactly what I needed to exhale, and I
Mm.
appreciate it. And yeah, Christine, thank you for inviting, and yeah, so much gratitude. I appreciate it.
Well, thank you for sharing that, Chris. That means a lot to me.
Thank you, Chris. I'm in awe of everyone who is here and just got to experience this whole evening. Oh, Maggie's got her hand raised. Let's see. Let me find you, Maggie. There you are. I'll ask you to unmute. Thank you so much. Go ahead.
I don't know if y'all noticed, but my sister's dog came in here when we were doing the release, and my computer shifted over, and it was just really, really strange. She pushed the door open and jumped on the bed and tried to knock me over. And afterwards, I thought, well, maybe it was just something that was, maybe it was one of those accidents. But I kind of think that maybe it was an energetic thing. On some level. Maybe the energy we experience through the computer,
Well,
the dog
animals
felt it.
are very intuitive and empathetic. They know when we feel things, but they're also more connected to what else happens outside of ourselves. And so perhaps it was about how you were feeling, or maybe what you were calling into the room, and your dog just picked it
That's what
up.
I was wondering.
Yeah.
That's what I was wondering. I just thought that was just, I think it, I think it is representative of the power
Mm.
of what you're saying and the power of what we're feeling. And I think the thing I love the most, you said so many good things, but something that really struck me that I will use is that putting that D on love. And I think that I've been as guilty as the rest of us about love is in past tense. But the truth is, you can't have grief if you never have love. And I think it's that continuation of love which ignites the laps around that track and
Mm.
the mile markers around that grief.
Yeah.
And I think that when we impart that, analogy, or in part that, you're always going to have grief. Everybody told me, and I've even been guilty of saying, time will get better. It won't be so bad. And yes, that's true, but it never goes away. And I think unless you've experienced it, you don't know that. And I think what's frustrating is those of us um, who've experienced the loss, we think it will go away. And then we think there's something wrong with us when it doesn't. What did we not do right? What should we have done? Any of those things. And it's just, I really appreciate you and appreciate what you said. And thank you again, Christine, and Gabby for being here.
Thank you very much, Maggie.
Thank you, Maggie. I love too. I'll chime in what Maggie said. I loved especially the reminder of, like, I think after I lost my mom, especially, I felt like I needed to be like wearing black and just like show this, like I'm grieving, I'm in this mourning period. But like I was supposed to act or behave a certain way. And I felt guilty on a very deep and personal level, that I actually felt relief that she left because she was so sick for so long. And but what I realized is, and thank you for the reminder, is that I could have this spontaneous joy in the middle of my grief. Like I do believe firmly now that you can have joy and grief at the same time. I think it's possible. And I think that, just thank you for the reminder of that. There's no rules in grieving at all, and it can look so different. And I could be happy, crying, all in this like within a
All at
minute
the
of
same
each other.
time sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. So there's one more hand raised, but I'm not sure the name. So you
You muted yourself. Oh, there you go.
I'm gonna ask you to unmute. I'm not sure if there's not a name. It just says Samsung. So I'm gonna just ask you to unmute. Um, there you
I
are.
think
Hi.
that's me.
Hi.
Hi, it's Sean Marie. And I just got
Hi.
home from Christmas holiday like 10 minutes before this started. But thank you, Gabby. So great to see you and be able to be on this with you. Yeah, my mom passed away November 11th. I mean, no, the 17th of November this year. And I'm carrying it, but yeah, really liked what you said, Christine, because it was a relief. She was so sick for so long and no quality of life. And my biggest takeaway from just this season is just giving myself grace and just be. And I'm grateful. I mean, it's a double-edged sword not having other family, not available. But I was able just to be in a soft place and just be loved and quiet and easy. And that's what I just want to share is just give yourself grace, regardless on where you are on the track. Because it's forever walk. Grief is a forever walk. And I just want to say happy holidays. And, I like what Gabby says, you got to be better to do better. I love that. I love that. I try to practice it every day. And so I just want to say Happy New Year to everyone. Thank you. Thank you,
Thank you
Christine, for
so much.
opening and sharing this space with us. Oh,
Thank
and my
you.
name's Sean Marie. Did I say that part?
Yeah.
Thank you, Sean Marie. Beautiful.
Okay. I'm gonna be
We have a couple more minutes. Otherwise, I just want to thank Gabby so much. I just want to also remind people you can reach Gabby by going to our website, thehospiceheart.net. You can also find her on Facebook if you haven't found her already. And I do want to let you guys know that this space is available. We meet, I'm kind of a sevens girl, so we meet on the 27th of every month at 7 p.m. It's the same Zoom link. Please feel free to share. Please feel free to follow Gabby, and I encourage you to discover some of her classes and books, and just lean into your grief. And Gabby, I just can't thank you enough.
Thank you for giving me this opportunity to just, I'm working through my own grief too. And each time I present a grief workshop of any length or time, it brings me comfort too, because I think we need to be reminded that we're not doing this alone, and that everyone's grieving something, and grief isn't just about the death of a person or an animal. It could be the loss of a job or a relationship. It could be a loss of a physical ability like seeing or hearing or walking. It could be the loss of a job, partnerships. It could be a personal item that was stolen or broken. We grieve the feeling of losing something that is special to us. And that would mean that it would have to be every single human on the planet, because we're all going to experience that. And if that's the case, then maybe we could practice being a little bit more patient with others, a little less judgmental, knowing that we're not here to fix people. We're here to just be for them in whatever way they need. Thank you all for being here tonight.
Thank you all. Thank you again, Gabby. I hope you guys have a wonderful evening. And yeah, just come back and join us anytime. Thank you guys so much. We're going to sign off now. Thanks
Bye,
again.
everyone.
Bye.